So when I told you guys I was coming back with a little bit better quality, I meant it. It is currently 9:34 and it's been kind of a day today. I feel like I got a good amount done. I had some changes in my schedule, unfortunately, but I took care of some orders. I got some work done at coffee shop and sent off some emails and prepped for the week. Now, do I have every single thing I would like to have done right now completed? No, but that's like a reoccurring theme in my life because my to-do lists are like 6 pages long, but I'm working on that. All things take time. But yeah, I hope you guys have had a good week. Today is Sunday, and I believe today would be day 13 of 90, which is really cool, very exciting. Thank you guys for being here with me. I really look forward to these little chats together. I don't look forward to the exporting process because it takes a long time, but I do look forward to coming on here and chatting with you guys and reading your comments and having the new followers. Welcome again. Very exciting. I'm very grateful for each of you. So today, I really think I want to reflect on the week. I think that it has been a week full of lessons, every week is. And so I want to share a couple of things that come to mind when I think of the reminders that I received through the experiences that I had. So, number one, or even the learnings. So, I started a book last week called The Big Leap on audiobook. It's about 5.5 hours. And in all transparency, I haven't finished it. I have listened about 4 hours of it. And let me check. I don't want to overstate how much I listened to. Okay, so there's 1 hour and 52 minutes left, and the whole book is, I think, 5.5 hours long. Yeah. So I listened to like 3.5 hours of it. It is really good. I've enjoyed it, but I've also been doing other things, and I've been also trying to practice being in silence more often. So because I enjoy my quiet times. I think I spoke on day one or day two about how I've been feeling overstimulated sometimes. And I know part of that is scrolling on TikTok too much. But I realize that when I'm doing those things, it's because I am not sitting with my own brain. And I think we all do that, right? We all are looking for escapism. We all, just enjoy the general entertainment of being online or watching something on TV or something like that. Just like the digital content specifically is what I'm referring to. And I'm not like admonishing those experiences, just everything in moderation. And I think because it's curated to be very addictive for the brain, it's very easy to forget how to taper back, especially if you're in a space where you're looking for a little escape. And I think all of us in this world currently are looking for those kind of experiences. But it is a good reminder to kind of check in with yourself and just say, like, what did I accomplish this week? How did I feel about myself this week? What made me feel good? What didn't? And I realized, through a previous reflection that I was scrolling too much, and that's why when I was saying yesterday about my auditing, that's why it's so important to me, because instead of waiting until 3 months down the line and I realize I've gotten to a really unhealthy cycle, every week I get to check in with myself and say, well, what's working, what's not? Because a week lost versus 3 months lost is a big difference when you have outlined your goals or you have things that are important to you that you want to get accomplished, especially if they have a timeline behind them. So I definitely recommend spending time reflecting on your week, looking at, what did the week look like? What did I outline for myself? What did feel good? What didn't? And, am I in alignment with the goals that I've set? Are the goals that I set in alignment with what I want my life to look like? How do I shift? How do I pivot? What didn't I like? What did I learn about myself? How can I improve? What resources am I using? There's so many. I just encourage a general curiosity about yourself and about your life and how you go through it. every single week if you can, because this will allow you to not only know yourself, but change the things that you want to change, whether that's your environment, whether that's your behavior, whether that's your routine, your diet, your habits, whatever those things are. You can have a clear understanding. Am I actually moving towards the goals that I set for myself, or am I just setting goals and saying I'm going to get them done? I mean, that's the thing we've all done. And, we've said we want to get something done and we're like, I'm working towards this and I'm going to do this. And you're literally making no steps forward. And sometimes that's just because it feels like life gets in the way, but it's also about prioritization. So that kind of brings me back to the Big Leap. And they were talking about concepts about your understanding of your belief system, right? We have an upper limit of belief of what we do and don't think our lives could look like. And I just want to preface this by, I'm really enjoying the book. I think there are a lot of great mindset tools that are in this book. However, I do wish that it had a little bit more nuance in some socioeconomic, racial barriers that don't seem to, as I have listened to it yet, be addressed. I think a lot of this is meant for people who are like in an upper level of their financials. He's the person who wrote the book. He is like a coach to like executives and things like that. So their money for most of them is not the issue. But that does not take away from the idea that these concepts still hold true. It just means that there are different barriers to implementing them at a certain level, because there are systemic barriers, right? That's not what the rant is about. But I did want to state that enjoying the book, love the concepts. There are things that could have been addressed, but that's for all things, right? So I do think that I realized today, I think I spoke about this in another episode or another entry where I was like, we were talking about the upper limit problem, where you have a system of belief about how good life can get. You get so comfortable with a certain level of success that once you start to get to that, once you start to win, you start to self-sabotage essentially, because you don't believe that you can have a life that includes all of these things. You actually have a deep-seated form of belief that is like the complete opposite of that, even if that's what you really want and you're striving towards. And what I realize is that an experience I had this week actually showed me that I had switched in a certain area of my life out of an upper limit problem, which was that I held a belief that I could not hold intimate and personal relationships and still hold boundaries. So I would consistently not hold boundaries to other people, right? Because I thought, well, if I do hold boundaries, if I say how I feel, then they're not going to want to talk to me. They're not going to like me. They're not going to love me. And then that's a deep abandonment wound. And that's something that I'm addressing in my life. So we're getting real spicy and vulnerable. Today is a real treat for y'all who want to listen to me for 8.5 minutes. But all that is to say, the reflection showed me that I had instinctively, without even thinking about it, been able to articulate how I felt about a situation and in a manner that I was proud of. And that was powerful, because it wasn't until later that I realized that my actions, without even having to force myself to do so, were a reflection of me moving past that specific upper limit problem in my life. Because I think also something that is important to understand is you have different understandings of how good life can get depending on what that specific thing in your life is, right? You might not self-sabotage certain areas of your life. You might not have an upper limit problem in finances, or you might not have an upper limit problem in communication with others, whatever it may be. But there are other places where you will find the opportunity to basically sabotage your happiness because you feel like the other shoe was going to drop, so you might as well be the one to drop it. So that was a cool experience. Through later reflection, I was like really proud of myself, because I was like, you know what, girl, I love when healing happens, but also there's this cool moment that I feel like people don't talk about, which is the automatic. The first time you realize that you did something that is a reflection of the inner work that you have done automatically, and you don't realize it till later. And I think that's why reflection is also so cool, because you can miss those moments if you're not spending time thinking about, what did I do with my week? How did I feel? What made me feel good? What made me feel bad? How did I respond when I felt good? How did I respond when I felt bad? And how do I feel about that? And giving yourself permission to be curious without judgment also will give you the opportunity to insert gratitude in the moments where you showed up for yourself in the way that you wanted to, or in the way that you've been working towards. And it feels even better because it feels good when you do it and you're thinking about it in real time and you're like, okay, respond this way. Don't do this. Don't do that. But when you can just move as this version of you who has shed these habits, these mindsets, these limiting beliefs away fully, and you are just now this new version of yourself, that is so cool. And then having that moment and just being like, you know what, you go, girl. I love that for you. So that was a really cool moment. Another cool moment was going through the process of the training and finding a gym. I worked out for the first time at the gym at Fineo. It was a after hours workout because I had to work all day. But fortunately, I can go when the gym is closed to the public. So that was really cool. I went and worked out, and it was a good workout. I enjoyed myself. So I'm really excited to see how I can work this into my schedule over this next week. That's kind of my intent, to figure out, what does my new schedule look like? How am I connecting to current and new clients? And how am I refining my processes? As I also test out some new workouts myself, because I am training martial arts, which is really cool. So yes, that is very exciting. I'm proud of myself for moving forward in this, because this is another stage of inner work. Because I grew up, I probably said this before as well, not really thinking I was athletic, not really even thinking about it in the sense of like, oh, I wish I was athletic. Well, maybe I did a little bit, but it was just like, to me, it was kind of just a fact that I wasn't, and I felt that way. And I was like, well, some people are just athletes and some people aren't. And it took 30 years for me to even try to do something that challenged that system of belief truly. And honestly, it wasn't even inspired by trying. That's why I literally went to the gym being like, I know I'm not going to be that good, but it doesn't matter, because my goal is just to have a better brain. And I know that sounds so weird, but I had finally gotten the business that I always wanted, and I did not want to mess it up by having brain fog and bad memory and low energy. And I'm so glad that I did that, because when I tell you, there have been so many times where I've been so grateful for my physical aptness, like what I can do with my body in terms of endurance and strength. It has really impacted my business in ways that people don't understand. I lift boards that are 4 feet, that are 50 pounds over my head with food, upstairs, through hallways and when I tell you these are expensive boards, you can't drop them. There's honey in them that can spill. There's food that can fall. And I do that over and over and over again. I carry heavy groceries up and downstairs. I carry boards up and downstairs. I had to, the other day, maybe last month, I had a delivery for a Graze called, what was it? Was it the Lavish or the Opulent? I feel like they got an Opulent, which is 4 feet by 2 feet. So 8 square feet of food, right? It's already put together when I bring it there. Well, they don't have an elevator, which is rare usually when you have a delivery like that. Usually there's some type of option. There might be 3 steps or something like that, or maybe in the entrance, there might not be a ramp. But 9 times out of 10, especially if somebody orders a large board like that, there's some way to get up to the top. Well, this building was 2 floors, but it had one of those 2-level stairs, you walk up, there's a little ledge, and then you walk up. There were probably 25 steps on each one, and I had to carry this board by myself up over my shoulders and not drop it. I'm strong. I know that. And I was still very nervous about that. But man, what would I have done if I wasn't that strong? What if I hadn't trained core? What if I didn't work on balance? Those were added bonuses that I didn't expect. My point is, I'm excited about this new journey because out of all the things that I knew I could do in life, this was not even one of the things on the list. And I think that's exciting. I think that's exciting because what that means is I'm consistently pushing myself out of my comfort zone and allowing myself to grow and not putting a limitation on age or societal expectation. I was thinking about this the other day. The vision that I had for my life and where I would be at this stage of my life is so different than where I am, but I think in the best way. And what I mean by that is I had a very cookie cutter in my mindset, cookie cutter, because I feel like it was the expectation. And no one sat me down and was like, you need to be a lawyer. That was never it. My family on both sides have always just been very supportive of, whatever I wanted to do. It's just that was where my interest gravitated. And I think that's just because I've always been good at public speaking. I've always been really passionate about being a voice for other people and for what's right and what's good, and using my talent to speak in order to do that. And the law also connected to my identity of being an intellectual. So many things lined up. And when you're younger, that really just, you only have a few things in front of you, right? And I've had some really cool experiences in my life. But making charcuterie boards for a living and, being a personal trainer were never on the list of things that I ever imagined for myself. And even now, the things that I am working towards and the life that I'm working to create for myself is so far left from what I thought. Even though the end goal actually isn't like the end goal, because I don't want to say I've planned my life out, but I have a bunch of things that I know I want to do that I know will take me, if I'm blessed enough with a long life, my whole life. And the thing about me is I am, as fast as I will subtract things from the list, meaning check them off, like did that, I will also add 5 more things for everything I get accomplished, because I just feel like there's so much in the world to enjoy and explore. And I love that. I just hope that I get the opportunity to experience as many of those things as possible and take on as many of the good things as I experience, learn from any of the things that aren't the good things, and then give that back out to those who need it. That's literally what I want. And I want to learn about brains. I love the brain. That's my thing. Really like the brain. It's my thing. So, but I think that's because the brain is just this powerhouse of where consciousness sits. And I think that it's a very interesting intersection between the spiritual and the physical, being this idea of consciousness and experience, but also how science supports that. I know I'm going very left off of what we're talking about, but even for me, there's a very interesting thing about, or a belief that I hold, that intuition is scientific, can be scientifically explained. It's so funny. I have books. I'm sitting on the floor next to my bed. There's a bookshelf here. And I think, is this the book that talks about it? Yeah, so there's this book. I love this book. It's called Subliminal: How Your Unconscious Mind Rules Your Behavior. And I literally bought this book, number one, because it's the niche of stuff that I love, but also because if you can see, there's words that are kind of, yeah, there we go. Okay, see how it says psst? Okay. I just thought that was so creative of a cover, but it says, psst, hey there, yes, you, sexy. Obviously, they were talking to me. Buy this book now. You know you want it. And it was right. Not only is that clever and funny and personable, it's right up my alley of things that I love. But one of the interesting concepts that he talks about in this book, I feel like it's this book, or am I mixing it up with that Paul Ekman book? It might be. Is this it? I think this is it. Okay. Shout out to me, because listen, sometimes when you read a bunch of books that are in kind of the same niche, especially when you're talking about personal development stuff, they kind of start to blend into each other, especially if you haven't read them in a while. So he talks about this thing called thin slicing, and how things that go into our subliminal mind and how that reflects in being able to identify situations even without the necessary complete understanding of that feeling. And I believe he's describing intuition. I believe he's describing the brain's scientific process for creating intuition, amongst other things that also impact that. Anyway, that's what interests me, and that's what I love. So I am very excited to continue to explore the different things that interest me in life, and this training is one of them. And also, I'm just grateful for the body that I have and how it's enabled me to create a new version and understanding of what my life can be. I've already lived so many lives, and I'm going to continue, if I am blessed to have those days, to live many versions of that life. And I hope to check off as many experiences as possible. I'm going to end with this because I think we're getting into like a 30-minute video. And man, oh man, when I said I am a certified yapper, I am definitely proving it today. Have you guys ever seen the show The Good Place? Do you remember the character? I don't remember any of the characters' names, so I do apologize. But the character, I don't know her. I don't know exactly what her ethnicity is, but she has the bangs. She's the tall model. You know, at first she's like mean and shallow, and then she becomes friends with Eleanor. That I do remember is the main character's name. She has this thing where she finally starts to check off all of the experiences that she wants in life, like read all of the books, all the things she wants to do. I have never resonated with something more ever in my life. I'm so serious. When I saw that, I felt so seen, because that's how I feel like my life is. It's just a list of things that I discover, and I'm like, I want to explore that. I want to learn that. I want to read that book. I want to explore that territory. I want to go and talk to those people. I want to listen to that music. I want to dance that dance. And I don't want to just go dance the dance. I want to learn the dance. I want to know it. And I want to know the culture and the history, and then go eat the food and go to the places. And I feel like there aren't enough lifetimes to experience all of the things that are interesting me now. And I am only 34. I haven't even touched the depth of all the things that are to be explored in the world. Fortunately, there are some things that I'm not really interested in, but I'm afraid to say that because life has a funny way of telling you exactly how unpredictable it is and how little you know about yourself. Because if you would have asked me once again if I would have ever been a fitness trainer, I would have been like, no, that's ridiculous. I'm not an athlete. Turns out that was a lie. All right, I'm going to go because I think I'm going to get a little bit more work done before I go to bed. And I think it's probably going to take me 2 hours to upload this, considering how long it is. Love you guys. Have a great Sunday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.